Greetings. I bring greetings and solidarity both from the PCS Union and from Black Activists Rising Against Cuts, Barrack UK. I'm proud that my union is one of the organisations that supported the protest and the rally today. Across Europe, there are approximately 25 million people of non-European origin. And when economies decline in Europe, history has told us that racism increases, with black people and migrant people being used as scapegoats. Since 2008, we've seen a rise in Islamophobia and a rise in the far right and an increase in the number of black people living in poverty. And that's why Barrack is launching our Martin Luther King 50 campaign, Equality in Our Lifetime campaign. Martin Luther King had a dream of a better future and progress on equality some 50 years ago. On the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, we plan to march on Westminster in August 2013. During the year, there will be a programme of events with an annual convention held by anti-racist and black organisations. We're calling on trade unions, anti-cuts groups, trades councils, all anti-racist organisations to take part in that. And there's going to be a joint annual convention with anti-racist organisations. Already signed up are Barrack, the National Black Police Association, Operation Black Vote, the Society of Black Lawyers and Black Men in the Communities and many more, to launch a strategy to respond to these attacks and threats and to establish a voter registration, because we need young people to be involved in our democratic structures. That's one way that we fight, by empowering ourselves to assert our democratic rights. We call on organisations that are here today to sign up to the campaign, join our steering group, pledge support and mobilise for the march in August 2013. All of us here today, together with our brothers and sisters across Europe and globally, need to stand together. That's how we will win. Black and white, disabled, not disabled, LGBT, young, old, straight, all of us need to stand together in struggle and solidarity until we see justice is served. Because what's happening to us today, the struggles we're going through, the way we're being attacked by these governments is an injustice, and we need to stand together united for justice.
Whether we will show solidarity to one another in the face of the greatest attack on the working class that I've seen in my lifetime, and I include the miners' strike and other examples in saying that. And solidarity is an easy word to use, but it has quite an interesting meaning. I remember during the miners' strike, the miners invited a lot of miners from America to come and support us. And one American miner came and gave a speech, and this is what he said. He said, this is what solidarity is about. He said, in the village where I work, a pit was closed, and a little boy fell down the pit shaft, and all the miners gathered round and they found a rope and they dropped it down, but it was too short. And then they dropped another rope, longer one, and it was still too short. And finally they found a really long rope and dropped it down, and from the bottom of the pit they heard the little boy's voice saying, tie your ropes together. And that is what solidarity is about. It's about people from all different occupations, different countries, recognising they have a common interest in what the Labour and Socialist movement stands for. And that's why what we're doing here tonight is of such importance, because with hundreds of thousands of people out in Greece and Spain and Italy and Portugal, they need our support, and we should be supporting them, not just by sending help to them and advice to them, but also representing them in the discussions we have about our attitude to Europe, so they know they are not alone. And then, of course, the next issue that we have to consider is very immediate, and that is what happens in Britain when the government pushes it to the point where the same sort of strike action takes place. Because I do believe that what the government is doing is deliberately provoking the labour movement in Britain to the point where it can be taken on and absolutely defeated. Because it isn't just about the wages and the pensions and the jobs, it is about the democratic right of people to elect those who represent them, and to see that what the elected representatives do, building up the welfare state and so on, is allowed to consider and is not removed by direct action by right-wing forces in industry and the media and so on. So we have got to the point in Britain where we may be forced to take the same action that the European unions are taking, and that will create very important problems for us, because we are not a party and not a country given to anything of that character. But if it happens, there is no doubt in my mind we must support it. Because if it comes, it will be from the voices of those, the people we know, and it will be something that will have to be taken seriously. If I go back to the miners' strike again, we had a lot of support from the Liverpool miners.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to take 5 minutes and just give you some of the spirit and recent developments in Greece and a message of solidarity. So since May 2010, the Troika, together with the Greek and neoliberal coalition, have imposed great austerity measures that we haven't seen since the 1945. So the Greek economy is in a free fall, society is in a free fall. All the austerity measures, as has been already said, have failed to control debt and have plunged the socio-economic system into a death spiral, increasing unemployment and creating despair. The EU leadership strike even more viciously, but they are also confused. All the plans, forecast, support mechanisms have failed to control the debt and the crisis. So Greece is in its 5th year of recession, while the government is on the verge of collapse. As you may have heard, last Wednesday, the austerity bill, the third memorandum, we have many versions of it, this is the third one, was narrowly passed with just 143 voting yes out of 300. So the government majority has lost 26 MPs. So the people replied with a 48-hour national strike and with magnificent massive demos all around Greece. You probably have seen the videos, occupation in public buildings and ministries. Last Sunday the government austerity budget was voted again, while within this time again the three-party coalition continues to lose MPs. So they're on the verge of collapse. Even the Financial Times, after the vote of the austerity budget, commented that when we arrive at a stage where 153 MPs support the measures, it means that in the streets no one supports the measures. So people haven't voted for austerity. Even though they have passed the bill on the austerity budget, it doesn't mean that they can enforce them in practice. The best example of how the measures can be cancelled is, in practice, is how the doctors in Greece last week picketed the entrances of the hospitals and allowed free entrance for all, although the government tried to enforce a 25 euros fee. Another example is the strike of workers in national TV when they managed to get the 2 journalists who have been laid off because they criticized the government, censorship, yeah? So the 14th of November can trigger workers and youth movements throughout Europe, not only in Spain and in Italy, but in the rest of the Europe. Just to give you the spirit of the working class at the moment, the main slogans that many trade unions put forward are continuous strike and even calls for workers' control.
As they did trade unions in Portugal, Greece and several countries. I've been checking the internet and what is saying in the news. The strike in Spain has been successful so far. Trade unions are talking of more than 80% of people striking. Obviously, in a country with a rate of unemployment at 25%, those striking are important, but those who cannot strike are more important. And those people have been showing up in the street in more than 100 of demonstrations all over the country. Hundreds of thousands of people in the street. Police has been charging against demonstrators as well in all across the country. There's been 110 people arrested so far, probably more. Lots of people injured. Even a kid of 10 years old.
I'll be very short. I'm just reporting about what happened. Actually, the trade union response to the okay, like this. Trade union response to the call for the strike was not great. Only one of the three main trade union confederations called for a strike, and that was only a 4-hour strike. But it was a really big response from the student and social centers movement, so, which proved to have a really great mobilization capacity. So there's been massive major demonstrations in all the big towns of Italy and the middle size as well. There's been a harsh repression, and if you go online on YouTube you're going to find many videos in which the police is beating young people on the ground or from behind the back with the batons. And, you know, people are opposing the policies of a neoliberal government which likes to think about himself as a technical government that was never elected by the people, because it's a government that came into place after the Berlusconi government for Danex, which was basically imposed by the Troika. And there is an interesting parallel, I think, in here with the third world debt crisis in the 80s, because there was a lot of easy credit in the 70s, and then when the cash dried up, the IMF went like, oh, you're broke, you're in debt, and now you're going to have to cut wages, cut public spending, destroy the labor movement, and give tax breaks for the rich. And so now we have some empirical evidence. Did it work? No, it didn't work. And they're trying to do the same for us. They've been doing it in the periphery of the world, and now they're doing it in semi-periphery. And we have some pretty hardcore economic empirical evidence that these kinds of policies just don't work. So I think we really need to have, not a Eurocentric, but an internationalist dimension, and also look at those third world countries that were able to get out of this debt spiral. And those countries, the ones that are better off, the ones in South America, that did not actually follow those neoliberal policies, and that's really inspiring. And we should not forget that ordinary people have been killed in Gaza today, and we should not forget that there is a lot of strikes going on in China as well, we should not report it. So international solidarity, thank you very much. Bye.
This is great. I mean, don't get me wrong, what's happening in Portugal, in our countries, is really tragic. There's some tragic situations, there's some irreversible things being done, and it's urgent to stop it. There's been privatizations, the culture is being destroyed, education, health, and social services, which I don't know if what's happening there is faster than what's happening here. I know that the departure place was much worse. I mean, we never had actually social security as we have here. So it's tragic, but what's happening now, it's very exciting, and it really gets me. I'm very happy to see all these people here together, and that we are talking with each other, and that finally London is not only the Euro capital of financial deregulation, it's also a capital when all these people are together and we can speak to each other and we can organize the resistance together. And this is what we are starting to do now. And the 14th of November is a historic day. And I'm very proud to say that Portugal came a bit late to this because we've been silent for a long time. But I'm very proud to say that this day started in Portugal